record. Okay, so we are recording. So again, we're going to go through a PCAP file analysis on malwaretrafficanalysis.net, and we're going to be working on the OK Boomer exercise. It's from, again, November 12th of 2019. So when you click on each exercise, there's a couple things you're going to find in there. First, you're going to find the PCAP file in a zip file. You always want to try to do these in your virtual machines, not your host machines. Biggest reason why is, for instance, on this particular exercise, when you get to the very end, you're actually extracting the file from the PCAP file. And that, if that is a file that is malicious, which in this case it is, obviously you're putting your host machine at risk. So I highly recommend that you do the PCAP download in your Kali Linux box. If you feel confident in doing that, you can pull this up and go ahead and download these while we're talking and then extract them. If not, we'll walk through that here in just a minute. So when you scroll down, they always give you a scenario and they always give you tasks, and then you have your answers, okay? So first things first, this is a traffic analysis exercise. And the scenario is you have a LAN segment here that is a 10.11.11.0 WAC 24. So basically that's going to take you from 10.1 or 11.11.0 through 10.11.11.255. Okay. Your domain is okboomer.info, domain controller, your LAN segment gateway. Here's your gateway IP address, and then your LAN segment broadcast address. So again, they kind of try to paint a little bit of a picture of what's going on here. So this is not just one computer that we're capturing the activity of that computer. This is a capture of all the data leaving this network and coming into this network. So you're going to see multiple machines, okay? And we're actually going to go through some steps in this exercise to actually find what the device is and what operating system they're running on that machine. We'll also look for the MAC address on one of the IPs or one of the machines so that we can see which vendor manufactured that IP. And you could do that for every single IP if you want, but we're just doing a few specific ones. Then you're going to get down to some username info, which we're going to need to do some prep work ahead of time for that. And then you'll also get down here where you're actually going to be dealing with the file. You're going to be dealing with an executable file that actually is masquerading as a TIFF file. So it has a file extension of .tiff, which is a picture file, but we will see in our analysis it's not actually a picture file, it's an executable file with an MZ header, header info in the file header. I do recommend that you download the answers. So the answers are also in a zip file, but it's a PDF. If you're novice, if you're new, like we are in a lot of cases, these are probably beneficial to actually work through with the answers, but you can just try to work through these and figure out how to get these, okay? But it really kind of depends on where you are. If you're a lot more solid in Wireshark, then don't use the answers to go through it, just use the answers to check. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm gonna go ahead and open up my Kali. I would recommend to go ahead and open up your Kali as well if you have not. And there's a couple of links on the agenda, again, that are, they give you these steps that we're going to take to do some setup in our Wireshark. Some of the items that we're going to be doing, we'll actually be doing a setup of the columns. So you can change the columns a little bit so you get a little bit different perspective in the columns. One thing that you're going to find is some of the filters you may use in these exercises and some of the ways you set up the columns, they might not be the way that you'll set them up in your own environment. So keep that in mind. These are just there to help you see the power of Wireshark, learn how to do some of these things, and especially learn how to do some of these things that you're probably going to have to do, and you'll probably be doing while you're working in a SOC. Especially if you have the ability to do network capture with Wireshark. Sometime today.
Can I ask you, Uncle Richard?
Yeah.
I already downloaded this file, and where should I extract it? Because it asks me, where should I extract it? To the Kali or to the Wireshark?
To Kali. That's what I do. I download it to my downloads file in Kali. As a matter of fact, yeah, I mean, if you're, can you guys see my Kali box right now?
Yes, we do.
Yes, perfect. Okay. So I download them into my downloads folder. You can download them wherever you want to, but I download them into my downloads folder.
Yeah, it's there, but where to extract it?
I extract it in the downloads folder as well too, just to keep it simple. But you could have, whatever structure you want to. I mean, really, when it comes down to file structure, that's totally up to you. That's really dependent upon how you know where your files are. If you group them by certain things, or organize them in a certain way, then follow that idea. So, all right, so let's go ahead first, and I'm going to open up my Wireshark.
It says wrong password. What is wrong?
For Kali?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Did you break it already? You just started.
No.
Does everybody kind of where we are now? Is there anybody behind that needs me to hold up, or are we good?
Hey, Richard. So I downloaded the zip file on my virtual machine.
Yep.
So as in the next step, should I open it?
Yes. So for instance, if I go to my downloads folder, here's my zip file.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do it easy, you can basically just right click on the zip file and say extract here, and it'll extract it right into that exact same folder, and you'll basically get your PCAP file right there in that same folder.
I'm trying to do this now, and it asks me password. I'm typing Kali because it's.
Wait a minute. So the password for, okay. So the password, sorry, I neglected to tell you that. So the password for any of these is always going to be infected.
Infected?
Yep. So and if you ever forget that, in the malwaretrafficanalysis.net, under the about this blog, they actually do tell you the password is infected. It's always infected on every single one.
Oh, I see.
Sorry, I neglected to tell you that. That's my bad.
Chart.
I know, right? Horrible.
Infected.
Oh.
Yeah, it worked.
Okay, so once you get it extracted, once you get that zip file extracted, you can go ahead and open that file if you like. You can go ahead and open that in Wireshark. Basically just click on File Open and then direct it to whatever folder you downloaded it to, and that's going to open up your.
Can you walk through one more time how you do that?
So File Open.
Okay.
And then just tell it where it's at, wherever you put it.
Oh, okay.
You go. And just make sure that you're opening the PCAP file and not the PCAP zip file.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Now, once you get this open, you should be able to, on the bottom, you should be able to see the amount of packets. You should have 22,828 packets.
And you go to ETH0 or any?
Richard?
Hang on one second, Priya. So yeah, you don't have to go to ETH. When you do open, you're actually not going to be capturing data.
Okay.
You're actually going to be opening the file that is a capture of data from before.
Got it.
Priya, what was your question?
Yes, I am trying to open. So it's file, open in Wireshark.
Yep.
And what did you mean by when you said don't open the zip file?
Yeah, so you should have, for instance, when I go to open and I go to my downloads, if you'll notice, there's two files there. One is the PCAP zip and one is just the PCAP. You want to open the PCAP file, not the zip file. As a matter of fact, I think if I try to open the zip file, I don't.
Yeah.
open
Yeah,
it.
I
it
got-
won't.
It worked.
So
I got it.
if I don't have that, what do I need to do?
If you don't have what?
I have only the zip file.
Okay, so you need to extract the zip file. So
Got
right
it.
here, if you open up your file system and go to the folder that you downloaded it to, find the zip file, and all you have to do is right click on it and then left click on extract here.
Got it. I'll do that.
And just for full disclosure, guys, obviously you guys know I'm not an expert. I'm okay. So if you have a question and you ask it and I don't know, I'm just going to tell you I don't know. What we can do is add that question to the agenda, and we can make sure that we either figure it out or learn, use whatever tools necessary to learn about that. Okay.
Okay.
You good, Priya?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So those of you that are following along, that are actually working along with me, if we move too fast, tell me to stop, okay? But again, one of the things to notice, you should have 22,828 packets. If you notice on the bottom corner, do you see that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Perfect. So I'm gonna pop back over to the agenda real quick. So again, in the agenda, there's 3 items to be set up, 1, 2, and 3. The first one actually, the first and the second have to do with how this looks. First off, can everybody tell me what this section is, this section, and this section? Can you tell me what they are?
The bottom one, it's introduce. The bottom one, it is
The payload? Or is it encrypted traffic?
It's the hex. It's the
it is what?
code of what's in that particular packet. So for instance, I'm on packet 1 right now.
You was breaking down, Richard. Sorry.
I was breaking down.
Yeah, like what he was saying, it was like sorry.
Broke down. I was breaking up.
Breaking up, I say.
Okay. So this top bar here is your filter. So that's where you're able to type in different filter strings to be able to filter this down. There's 22,000 packets. So we don't want to try to have to go through 22,000 packets, correct? So we're at times going to run filters to try to narrow that down. And we're going to do a lot of that here in just a few minutes, all right? But also how this looks and the information that you see here, it's important, okay? So real quick, I'm gonna get rid of a couple things here real quick. So bear with me.
I know that I wanted to say not the bottom one. In the middle, it is like introduction of the 7 layer of our SI model.
This one here or this one?
Yeah, yeah, this one, yeah. And
So
then,
this one here actually gives you the breakdown of your packet based on the different layers of the OSI model.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
exactly right. So with each and every frame, you're going to have different components based on the different layers, okay? So, and you're going to find different things in different layers, right? Like where would you find the MAC address?
It's on the second layer.
Layer 2.
So you're probably going to find your MAC address right here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So these are things that you learn to understand as you go, okay?
For some reason, it should be from the bottom to the up, and here it's from the up to the bottom. There's the logic behind.
That's just splitting hairs. Don't worry about that. So again, these are your packets. And again, in here, you usually see this in different ways. Like you guys probably see this a little differently than I do right now. If you take and go to the top here, you can right click and you have all of your capabilities of adjusting and modifying these columns. So you can actually take columns away. Like let's say I don't want to see the number of the packet. If I remove that, now I don't see that number. Let's say I want to get rid of the time. Now I don't see the time. All I see now is the source and destination IP, the protocol, the length, and then the additional information. I didn't want to sort it by that. Dang it. Yeah. So you see some of the additional information. Okay. You can select however you want it to look, and depending on what you're looking for, you're gonna create different layouts based on what it is you're looking for. And I think also you may find a certain way that you like to set it up all the time, to where every time you go back into Wireshark, it's going to look the same every time. You may add columns though that you might want to look for, and that's actually one of the things that we'll be setting up there. So again, in the agenda, this second one right here is the steps on how to actually change your column display. So it tells you how to change how this looks, okay? So I want you guys to actually do a couple things, okay? So I want you to right-click on the top of the column here, and I want you to bring up the column preferences selection. Do you see that? So you're going to right-click right on any of these tops of these columns. You're going to right-click, and that's going to bring this up to column preferences, and left-click on column preferences. And that's going to take you into a customizable preferences box. Obviously, you see you can select or deselect specific columns, but here's one thing that I really like. You can create columns. So if you just click on plus, you can actually go here and let's say, I don't know, let's pick something. Let's pick something to put here as a column. We're not really going to use it, but we're just going to put something. Let's see, what can we put here? We have time already, so no words there. Source port, source address. Yeah, let's do source address. Why not? So if you add source address, then you can double click here and you can change what it's called. Source address. And now I have a column called source address. And when I click OK, now I actually have a column called source address. Now, probably really don't need this because we have our source IP here, but I just wanted to show you what that looks like. What you guys can do if you'd like is do an addition of the source port and the destination port. So if you right click on the columns and left click on column preferences, I want you to add a source port and a destination port. Where'd it go? Destination port. So again, if I were going to add this column, I would click on the plus. Then I would, you can go ahead and double click on new column to rename it and put in source port. And then here in the type, when you double click on that, it takes you into your selection. So this is what information it's pulling from the PCAP to show you in that column. So you would select source port unresolved. And then that creates that source port column. Now I already have one, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that column because I don't need it. But you want to go ahead and add a source port and a destination port column. Is everybody kind of with me so far still?
Hold on 1 second. So right click on any packet, right? Any.
Not on the packet. You want to click on the top of the column.
Top of the column.
These here, where it says source, destination, protocol.
Oh.
These are the tops of your columns, right?
Okay, and you just adding column preferences.
Yep, and then I want you to add a source port column and a destination port column.
I should check remove check mark from number time.
No.
It's already added.
Yeah, you're fine then.
So we need to click on the plus sign, right? If we want to add something.
Correct.
And then
So when you click on the plus,
it says new column. Yeah.
it gives you a new column. So you can rename it here by double clicking on it, and you
Okay.
can select the type of column it is here. And
Got
that is basically selecting what data is going to go into that column.
Okay. So you wanted us to do destination port, correct?
I want you to do a source port and a destination port.
Okay.
And actually, one of the things that you'll know here too is you can actually reorganize these just by left click and hold and dragging it. So you can move where it wants to go. So it probably makes sense to have the destination port right after the destination IP address and the source port right after the source address.
I have source and source address. I have source port, and then I have just number. So that needs to change.
You can, if you want, you can make yours look just like mine. And I'll be honest, I do not know, and something I've got to look it up. I don't remember. I don't remember what the difference is between the port resolved and unresolved. So I apologize on that. We lost Gurkhan.
Got it.
So once you get those done, then your column should look a little bit more like mine. You may notice though that they're not as neatly aligned. One of the other things that you can change is when you right click on the top of the column, you can also align each and every column to the left or to the center or to the right, whatever. Align left is pretty standard from everything that I've seen.
Got it.
And then you can even adjust, you know, how big your columns are to really make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, we still don't see the source port and destination port amongst the columns.
We see Noor.
So in mine, I don't have them selected right now. So very good catch. So if I click source port and destination port, both of those should show up now in my columns.
I have everything.
Making sense? So that kind of handles the part B of the setup. Okay. The other one we're going to do right now, I don't know that we're going to make it to the third one, so I'm just going to focus on the first one here. So the first one is actually a column which we're going to use later to be able to find usernames and host machine names for Windows machines. So this is, again, that link in the agenda, this one here is a tutorial that walks you through setting this up. I'm going to kind of guide you a little bit. As a matter of fact, this is actually what we're going to be doing right here. We're going to be adding a column based on the information within our frames window. Okay. So who remembers what Kerberos is?
It's ticketing. It's authentication system using tickets.
Perfect. And it's specific to what operating system?
Windows.
Perfect. So you can actually simply type Kerberos in the filter, and you'll actually get only items that are pertaining to Kerberos. Okay. So again, with your filtering, you can filter it down from 22,828 packets down to, look at how many are displayed, only 158. Okay. Now we're going to go a little more specific because we're going to add a different column here. Oops. So we are actually going to do this search string. We're going to do Kerberos.c name string. and it's going to give us a little bit of a different result. So it's Kerberos dot C name string.
For me, it automatically popped up as soon as I did C.
Yeah, I don't, why is mine, what did I do? I must have jacked mine up for hand. Did I do the wrong thing? Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first one.
There we go. So you do understand that when it's green, it means it's going to work. When it's red, it means it's not going to work, right?
Yeah.
All right. So when I hit enter, now I only have 54. So I've actually filtered this down even smaller. And you'll notice that there's an additional option here under the frame section. If you click on that.
Richard, I have a doubt.
Yep.
How would we know that we have to use this as filter for doing this?
So the only thing that you need to know at this point, and this is my thought as well, there's a lot of things that we don't know yet. So following along with this, I'm learning different search strings and different things. You're not going to know all of them, but there are going to be times where you go, I need to know what the username and the name of the Windows machine was. And you're going to Google, what search string do I use in Wireshark? So in this particular case, we need to know who logged into the Windows machine and what Windows machine they logged into. So that's kind of, just take it from that perspective at the moment, okay? And again, if I wanted that information, I would Google that and I would figure out what search string I would want to put here to be able to, get that information. So in this particular case, this is the information we're looking for. But
so when they give you a scenario, do they give you like even little bit details, like this is a Windows machine and this is what we are trying to find and all that?
Well, I mean, if you're doing threat hunting, if you're actually analyzing activity, you're going to be working through this and you're going to have to think through the process.
Got it.
And
okay.
That's where you go, okay, I want to find out who logged into that computer. I know it's a Windows machine. So what search string would I put into Wireshark to be able to search for the username, the username and the host machine name?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So some of that is just thinking through the process, I think, if that makes it a little bit easier to understand. Okay. Gurkhan was telling me he had to leave for some reason. Okay, so, and again, you can go back to this later on, but what I'm doing is I'm walking you through these steps so that you don't have to sit here and read them, okay? But they tell you exactly where to go. You're going to click down this tree structure until you get to the CNAME string. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a column off of this CNAME string. And later on, when we do our search, we're going to be able to see those logins for that computer. Okay. Does that make sense? All right. So if we follow the steps down, you click on the flag for TGS rep and then CNAME. And you'll notice in here you have CNAME string and there's only one item in there and it's right here. Now on this particular IP, if you look at this actually gives you a little bit of information. So this IP address, which is the 10.11.11.11, no, actually I take that back. In this particular one, this is the 10.11.11.203. That IP address actually that is a Windows machine that's running Windows 7, and the host name of